So let me ask you this: since you mentioned President Trump, I've been defending you to everybody for the last several months now, at least, but specifically the last several weeks, saying because people have been saying over and over that you turned on the president when he wouldn't endorse you for Senate or governor or for one of those seats, and I said no, it's because he called her a traitor, and you call someone a traitor, particularly if you find yourself as someone who's so patriotic. It really is more than a slap in the face. It's like a bullet to the head. What is the reason? You said there's only three things you differed with him on. What is the reason that the turn came so quickly from your standpoint?
I never turned. I have a 98% voting record with President Trump. So, Shelley, you've been right, and I thank you very much for that. It's a complete lie about the endorsement. I never asked for President Trump's endorsement to run for governor or Senate. As a matter of fact, I said on my own, I didn't want to run for Senate because I hate the Senate. The Senate is a horrible institution with the filibuster. I don't want to go there. And I made my own decision that I didn't want to run for governor, although I love the state of Georgia, but I didn't want to run for governor at this time. So I never asked President Trump for his endorsement. That has been a lie. I didn't turn my back on President Trump. He called me a traitor because I stood with the victims of Jeffrey Epstein and unapologetically signed my name on a discharge petition to release the Epstein files. So President Trump turned on me and called me a traitor for that. That is really what this whole thing is all about. And he said that he was going to primary me because of that. That's the only story that there is. And anyone who's believing anything else, I'm sorry, you're believing the wrong story. And my voting record speaks for itself. Again, I am a 100% conservative voting record. I have not turned into a liberal or a Democrat.
Which is absurd to even think. Let me ask you this. That being said, is there anything that can patch up this relationship? Because one of the things that I find disgusting is, particularly in Georgia, solely in Georgia, MAGA, Republicans, far right, whatever name you want to call the group that we have here in Georgia, and we both know them very well. The large group of people here in the state of Georgia who have turned on you. And what message do you, besides what you've just said, what message do you have for them that they were able to flip so quickly on one of their most endearing and beloved congresspeople?
Well, I don't hold any ill will or any resentment.
You're better than me.
Towards anyone, Shelley, I don't. And that's a much smaller percentage of people than they realize. Actually, pretty much everywhere I go in Georgia, I go through the Atlanta airport, I go out to public restaurants, I go to grocery stores, I go shopping. I actually run into many people in Georgia that come up and say they support me, they shake my hand, they thank me for my service. So I think the crowd you're talking about, although they may be loud, it's a pretty small percentage of people. And unfortunately, they're believing the wrong things about me. What they need to believe instead of comments on social media is you can look at my voting record. I have a voting record. And my voting record are my actual actions backing up my words. And again, 100% conservative, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, America first. I don't vote for foreign wars. Remember, that was a big part of MAGA. 100% border security. I impeached Secretary Mayorkas, me. Those were my articles of impeachment, defending our borders. So I have a record that speaks for itself. I passed the Gulf of America Act, renaming the Gulf to Gulf of America. And my last vote on the House floor, Shelley, was passing my own bill, Protect Children's Innocence Act, that actually ends the trans agenda on kids under 18, blocking all gender affirming care. That was my bill that passed the House floor, which was a direct reflection of President Trump's executive order, stopping the trans agenda on children. It's not against gay people. It's about kids.
Right.
And that was my last vote in Congress. So I would ask people to judge me on my actions and not the lies that you read about me on social media. And
That big?
remember, again, a 98% voting record with President Trump, having traveled the country, spending millions of dollars to help the man get elected. You know, I think they should really ask themselves, am I really a traitor for standing with victims of rape from Jeffrey Epstein and the rich, powerful elites that he associated himself with? I don't call that a traitor. I think
Neither do I.